I've always wondered how so many good people in Nazi Germany could go along with the Holocaust, but now noticing the similarities between how Donald Trump and Hitler manipulated both education, media, and religion, it's become much more apparent. The phrase history repeats itself is evidenced in the similarities between Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler. The first similarity is their ideas for their education system. They both had a very nationalist idea of what they wanted their education system to look like. According to Robert Lawson, a professor of comparative education at Ohio State, Hitler taught overt racism to his students, teaching them that their race was superior to others and others were inferior, and that other races even didn't have a right to exist. Which Donald Trump hasn't directly expressed those ideas, but he did say that teaching our children about systemic racism would be child abuse, which means he isn't directly promoting the problem like Hitler was, he's just simply ignoring it. The next is that Hitler taught his students that Germany was the best country in the world and that they had a God-given right to expand their territory, which can also be compared to our idea of manifest destiny in our history. And those ideas are reflected in Donald Trump's pro-America education plan that he released earlier this semester that teaches America first education to our students. It's very similar to the same ideas that Hitler used for his education. The next thing both of them did was hire people to run their education programs that were not only unqualified, but also worked to actively harm the education for the students in their country. Hitler's Minister of Education, Bernhard Rust, was a sex offender who was fired from his teaching position 10 years before being appointed for sexually assaulting a student, which can be compared to the fact that Trump and many people around him all have sexual assault allegations as well. His main job is also to keep to a minimum ideas that criticize fascism in Germany in general, which is also very similar to the same pro-America education Donald Trump supports. He can be compared to Donald Trump's Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, who has harmed our education by cutting federal funds, supporting privatization of our education, and funneling more federal funds into private charter schools instead of public schools. She also supported Donald Trump's pro-America education plan. So they both hired people who were actively harmful to their students' education in their country. Another similarity was the poor quality of education. Neither country had very good teachers because both paid their teachers very poorly, so their students didn't have very good instruction. And both had textbooks that misinformed their students as well, because Hitler's textbooks obviously taught all those racist and nationalist ideas. And while our textbooks don't directly teach those, they leave out significant parts of our history that would change our students' views of our country. The next area they're both similar in is the media. They both accuse the media of being untrustworthy. Hitler's phrase was lying press, Trump's was fake news. They both discredited any media outlets that disagreed with them. They both also opposed an anti-national press, and they did this in two similar ways. They both made the country very dangerous for reporters to live in Nazi Germany when Trump took power. Especially foreign reporters were in much more danger, and many of them had to flee the country. This can be compared to the way our reporters were treated over the summer at many of the protests and riots, because our police aren't supposed to target reporters at these events, but there were many stories of reporters being shot and beaten and arrested all the same as anyone else. They both also expressed ideas that it was traitorous to speak against your country. The next area they're both similar in is religion, is their use of religion. They both scapegoated other religions. Hitler used Jewish people. Trump used Muslims to scapegoat for the country's problems. And they both expressed ideas of purifying their countries, which while Donald Trump maybe hasn't directly expressed this, his slogan, "Make America Great Again," is very transparent in the face of a diversifying country. The second similarity in religion was that religion was a big issue to many voters in both situations. Both voters in current-day America and Nazi Germany voted simply because of their religion, which gave both Donald Trump and Hitler an opportunity to exploit religious voters, which goes into the next similarity of how they were both hypocritical in their public support for religion. Because Trump publicly claims he's a Christian while having multiple children from multiple women, having multiple affairs, having dozens of sexual assault allegations, and then walking out in public and claiming he's a man of God. Hitler also privately supported the main Protestant religion in Germany that most Germans did, while behind closed doors, according to James Carroll, author and historian, he never once actually committed to a single religion in his life, and his religion was also influenced by Catholicism and even from the occult. So both leaders used education, media, and religion to secure power and to propagandize their citizens.